Hello, CQ, the old friends net, CQ. This is N4LQ, November 4, Lima, Quebec. Name is Steve, QTH, Shelby, North Carolina. The old friends net is an AM only net. Amplitude modulation is the mode to use. We take check-ins from anybody, anywhere that we can hear. So let's go ahead and start. It's a roundtable net. Just give me your call, and we'll put you in order. This is N4LQ. Call now.
KN4R.
K4QE.
K3OS.
WFW. KB9JQU.
All right. It's quite a lineup there. I'm trying to get all this together here. Okay, here's what I got in this order: KN4R, K4QE, to K3OS, to WF2U, KB9JQU, Kurt in over there just to the east of us in North Carolina, but not South Dakota. Hope you're enjoying your stay, Kurt. Anybody else, let me know here. Give me a call, N4LQ.
WB4NKL.
And we got WB4NKL, Cliff over in Tennessee. Last on the list. Anybody else? I heard a weak station there. Did anybody else copy him? Sound like a sideband to me. We're on AM here, but we'll try one more time. This N4LQ, listening very closely.
Did you pass it to me, Steve?
No, I'm trying to copy. Some guy's trying to check in on sideband, but we'll try again at the end of the first round and see if he gets switched over or whatever. So, yeah, it's a beautiful day today. Went out and walked around the woods a little bit. That's about it. Went out and ate lunch. And just been messing around with the shack here. Got the Amico TX86 ready to go for the net in the morning. I'd use it here, but it doesn't cover 160. So, Brian, what you been up to? KN4R, N4LQ.
Yeah, okay, Steve, and the group. Good evening. N4LQ in the group, KN4R, Brian, Cheryl, Ford, North Carolina. And yes, it was a beautiful day. The most important thing I got done today was I shipped Steve's HRO60 coils and manual to him via FedEx Ground. And I shipped it today, and they were saying it was going to be there tomorrow. Which is pretty amazing. So I doubt it will be, but it's interesting. So, and fiddled around in the shack downstairs and the shack upstairs, and mainly watched Reese, the wonder dog. He can't let me out of his sight, and he just starts barking for no reason. So it's a real, you know what. So over to you, Tony. K4QE in the group. KN4R.
All right. Good evening, Steve, Brian, Gary, Mayer, Kurt, and Cliff. Good to hear you all tonight. Hearing everybody pretty well. The band is a little bit up and down. Steve, you were coming in gangbusters when you first called the net up, and then you faded down quite a bit. So there's some QSB on the band. But I'm still copping everybody 100%, and run the usual fare here, the 7851 with the Lux, and running about 150 watts carrier. So there you go. And over to you, Gary, K3OS from K4QE.
Hey, Tony. K4QE in the group from K3OS. Yeah, evening, everyone. Yeah, I've been home all day, well, except for early this morning. My wife had some eye and facial surgery done this morning at 6:30 a.m. Lovely time to be on the road. And she's been dealing with, both of us have been dealing with, she's got to wear compresses, cold compresses, 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, all day today, all day tomorrow, but not when she's sleeping, unfortunately. So that's been quite a routine, but trying to keep the swelling down. Right now she looks like she's been through it. Hopefully that will go away after a few days. Anyway, so it's been a busy day, and we got another busy day tomorrow. Although I have to get on, I have a small chore to run. Unfortunately, I get a little monotonous than that. And I got lazy tonight. I'm running the ICOM 7610 into the ALS 600. Somewhere a little over 100 watts of carrier. Now to you, Mir. WF2U, K3OS.
Roger, K3OS on the net. This is WF2U. Good evening, everybody. The noise level is a little elevated, not too bad. It's 46 degrees here with a pretty strong breeze. Feels colder. And out of that rain yesterday and the night before, we got altogether 2 inches, according to my digital weather station. And Steve, you're pretty strong. Cliff, you're strong. And Brian, Tony, and Gary so far were a little bit weaker with a lot of QSP, sometimes almost at the noise level, but I copy 100%. And Kurt, yeah, I think you didn't get my name in QTH the last time you were here, so I'll tell you now. The name is Meir, Mike Echo India Romeo, and I'm located outside the little town of Landrum in South Carolina, which is in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, directly south of Hendersonville, and just across the state line. Actually, also near Columbus, North Carolina. So with that, it goes to Kurt, KP9, JQU. This is WF2U.
Let's see, Kurt, are you able to hear Mir? It's your turn.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I heard Mir for the most of that, where he was telling me that he lives in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I live in the foothills of the northern Black Hills, but I'm here in North Carolina working. And but yeah, right at the end of that, he took a big fade on me, and I didn't hear him turn it over, so thank you for letting me know. Again, call sign here is Kilo Bravo 9er, Juliet, Quebec Uniform, name's Kurt, Charlie Uniform, Romeo Tango. I'm out of Sturgis, South Dakota. I've been here working in North Carolina here since mid-November. And today I was busy packing because I'm heading back to South Dakota on the 19th, next Monday. I had a business lunch with my business attorneys. I had a couple more phone calls, and then dinner with my wife and daughter, and then I'm down here on 160 meters talking to some local friends up the band, and I wanted to come back down here again, Steve, and check in another time and say hello to everybody and get on this Old Friends Network because it was kind of fun. So let me see. I think that's everything for today that I can share at the moment. And I believe the next one in the group is WB4 Is it November Kilo Sierra or November Kilo Lima? Maybe let me know when you take it over. KB9 JQU.
KB9 JQU. It's Whiskey Baker 4 November Kilo Lima NKL. So you had it right there the second time. Good signal in here, Kurt. And I'm in Tennessee, a little town called Limestone, birthplace of Davy Crockett. Just over the hill from some of these guys. Good signals there all the way around, 100% copy. This band's in pretty good shape here tonight, sounds like. And I just got back from Orlando last night and had a good trip except for the trip home there yesterday. It was a 10-hour trip turned into a 12-hour with all the rain and stuff. But just part of it. And it's good to be back except for the cool weather. Not I missed the 70 and 80 degree temperatures we had. So send it on around. Go ahead, Steve. N4LQ, it's WB4NKL.
All right, this is N4LQ. Anybody else that would like to check in, call me now.
W4JPL.
W4 Japanese plastic lunchbox. Have I got that right, John? How are you tonight? Give us a transmission and turn it back to me.
All right, good evening. W4JPL here in Liberty, North Carolina. We got a little bit of rain today, 0.22 inches, 44 degrees. It was beautiful out, a lot of wind, but other than that, did some work outside, and now I'm back in the house. I was down working in my studio a little while, so I thought I'd come up here and see if my HF rig still worked. Over to you, Steve, W4JPL.
All right. Real good. W4JPL, N4LQ. Well, fine business on the shipping. I think you shipped them to Stan, Brian, and yeah, that's pretty fast service. It could happen if the mailman didn't go anywhere else. But and okay on the dog, that doesn't sound good. I think that dog may be trying to tell you something. I don't know what. But Reese is obviously up there in years for a wiener dog. And okay on the eye surgery there, Gary. I guess it's eye surgery, or maybe it was. I know you both of you had some stuff done, didn't you? I believe. And Mary, you're sounding good tonight. Plenty strong. I didn't notice any QSB, but that's just me. And Kurt, I'm just wondering, you're from Sturgis, Michigan. Do you happen to have a Harley? Because I know they have a big motorcycle rally there. Maybe you can tell us about it when you get back here. I don't have a motorcycle. I do have a license. I got the license back way back there in the 90s, I guess, when my son got his. I just went ahead and took the test, passed it, and I've kept it up ever since, although I've never really owned a motorcycle. I guess I could legally drive one, and I go ahead and renew it just in case. And glad you're back. I'd like to hear some more about the things you saw down in Orlando at the Hamfest. Well, both you guys that went down there. That's I really looked at the pictures, and they're pretty interesting. I didn't see anything that I didn't recognize, hadn't seen before, but I was just looking at this catalog that I've got online. What's it, the book? The tube book or whatever, Rippin', yeah, what's his name, Rippin', has out. Boy, I tell you, there's some old-time transmitters. They're all transmitters, mostly tube-type transmitters. Some I never heard here. Here's the Blair Universal and the Bromeco and the Bar and the Vanguard and, of course, the Babcock. And I know Dave LLR has a Babcock. Sure like to hear that thing on the air. I switched transmitters a minute ago. I don't know if anybody noticed or not, but I've got a switch here I can throw and change pretty quick. So let me know if you noticed any difference. Go ahead, Brian. KN4R, N4LQ.
Yeah, okay, Steve. Very good. N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, I was going to say, your audio, I thought, changed a little bit. Not bad. It's just sounded a little bit different, maybe a little higher than what it was before. So you have to tell us what rig you're on at the moment. So, let's see. Gary, I hope your wife progresses. And I didn't quite catch something about eye compresses, but anyway, I hope the surgery is successful and she's back up and running here shortly. So, and nice to meet you, Kurt. And I think you said you were from Sturgis, South Dakota. So, like Steve said, tell us about the traffic during the peak motorcycle season. But glad to have you here in North Carolina for a while. We're glad you're getting ready to go home for a while. So, and Cliff needs to tell us about Saturday, Sunday, because I wasn't there Saturday or Sunday at Orlando, but Thursday was our best day by far. Friday was a little anticlimactic, I thought. A lot of people looking, but nobody hardly buying much. Maybe they're waiting for Saturday, I don't know. But anyway, it was a great ham fest. Interesting there. It's first come, first serve, so you pull in the door Thursday morning at 7 a.m., and we were like 8th in line or so, and you just go pick you some spots and start setting up. And we actually had 3 spots, 2 tables, 2 canopies on left and right, then we had a Brown's pickup truck in the center, and we just folded down the back gate, and that worked out real well. We were right across from, I guess, the largest bathroom, but there was no smell or anything like that. It was very nice. So, and I thought it was very well attended too. So, back over to you, Tony. K4QE in the group, KN4R.
All right, real good. And Steve, your audio changed a lot a bit. You went from you were about 2.5 kc on either side of the carrier to about 5 kc either side of the carrier, and I'm going to guess that you switched over to your LMAC. That sounds great. And Cliff, good to hear you. Glad you made it back safely despite the weather, and I hope you had a lot of fun. Looking forward to hearing about it and maybe seeing some pictures if you took any. And good evening to John. Good to hear you, my brother. And everyone else, I heard you pretty much okay. Gary's a little on the weak side here, but might just, like I said, just might be conditions because I said there's a lot of QSB. So, and speaking of which, over to you, Gary, K3OS from K4QE.
Hey, Tony, K4QE, K3OS. Well, I managed to copy everybody, so I'm not going to complain too much. Yeah, Steve, I'll echo Tony's comments. Since I'm running with a radio with a pan adapter here, all of a sudden you went from fairly tight to fairly broad. That's good. You went from probably digital analog here. Anyway, sounds good. Yeah, this was my wife's surgery was mainly, I guess, mostly on the cosmetic side of things, and not all of it, but anyway, she's a trooper. She wanted it done, and no pain, no gain, I guess, for what they say. But the regimen, the first 2 or 3 days are going to be kind of tough. She's also got to sleep with her head at least a 45-degree angle for the next couple of weeks to keep the swelling down. I mean, there's a regimen that she's got to go through. But she's survived so far and is doing nicely. We'll see what happens overnight when we don't keep the ice on it. Anyway, trying to think what else has been going on. Well, that was the big stuff. I could throw the AF-67 on here. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I guess it's still working. then I would drop in power. I don't have it connected up to this amp yet, and it's the only one I've got. I could probably do it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I've got one other radio connected to it, but it doesn't work 160, so therein lies the problem. Anyway, we'll just pass it around. Let's see. And Mir, good evening to you. Kurt, evening to you. I'd be interested to know what you do for a living. Kurt, a bunch of us are, at least, let's see. I don't know about Tony, but I know some of us are retired. So, Kurt, tell us what you're doing, and are you going to come back down this way again on your next round around? I'd also be interested for Brian and Cliff, whether you sold or bought anything. Hey, guys, share all that stuff. Mir, over to you. WF2U.
In beautiful South Carolina, K308.
Roger. Just have to wait every time for the dynamotor to spin up for the high voltage. Very good, Gary. K3OS and the net. This is WF2U. Anyway, signals are going up and down. An interesting, Steve, that you have no QSB on you almost at all. Brian came up significantly in the last transmission. Tony and Gary up and down, about 100% copy. Kurt is anywhere between good signal to have to really listen through the noise, but there's a lot of QSB. Cliff, Strong, John is the usual, also some QSB. And as usual, as of late, I'm running the GRC 19 and putting out a 100 watts carrier, fully plate and screen modulated into an 80 meter end fed half wave. Anyway, I've been busy a little bit with working on that Ganset G76. I had to remove the front panel in order to fix the meter, and I didn't get too much farther because I didn't have time. I removed all the knobs and everything, so I pulled the front panel, and after that it's relatively easy because everything is mounted on the main panel, so I don't have to unscrew any shafts or anything, and the real panel goes over that with spacers. So all I have to do is take the knobs on and off, and that's it. And the same thing with the meter frame. The meter is simply separated from the frame itself with the bezel, separated from the bezel, which is no big deal. The meter itself is okay. I just have to re-glue the whole thing, and the glass didn't break. It was just floating inside the unit, so everything is a glue job. What the next thing I'm going to do? I'm not putting the original front panel on it. I have a parts unit with a beautiful front panel, so I'm just going to swap front panels and then I'll close it up. Probably by the weekend it's going to be ready. So with that, let's see. Kurt, I hope you can copy me. KB9JQU. This is WF2U.
All right, Roger. WF2U, KB9JQU in the group. Well, Steve, the number one question I get when I tell people I live in Sturgis, South Dakota is, do I own a Harley? And I have to unfortunately report, no, I do not own a Harley. Where I live, I'm, let's see, it's about, when you get off Interstate 90, you have to go about 7 miles on gravel, and then you go 3 miles on dirt, and then you go another mile on gravel. It's not great for a Harley or an Indian motorcycle, which is what the rally was originally about, and when it was founded, the motorcycle rally. But it's great for enduro bikes. My brother Tom in Minneapolis, or near Minneapolis, he lives in Wisconsin, has promised to hook me up with a enduro bike, and so I'll have appropriate transportation during rally. Because I grew up in a town of 800 people in southwest Wisconsin, and that to me was quite a big town. And when I moved to Sturgis, it's 8,000 people, 10 times bigger. But during rally, there's a minimum of 800,000 people visiting. And it's just a big old adult party, and it's really kind of a lot of fun, to be honest. I get a kick out of all the how the town transforms just a week or so before, and then a week or so about, with a few days after the 10-day rally, it's just back to its old self. It's kind of a really neat transformation to watch. I am very, I do a lot of off-roading on side-by-sides, like Polaris Razors and things like that, and I am one of the folks involved in the off-road rally. That's about 2 weeks after the motorcycle rally. So anyway, yeah, I just, and what do I do for a living? I'm a business owner. I own a multinational consultancy and supply chain transportation management and warehouse management. So hopefully that answers all the questions. Let's see, who gets it next? Whiskey Bravo 4, November Kilo Lima. Thank you for correcting me. You pick it up next from KB9JQU.
Okay, Kurt, KB9JQU, WB4NKL. Good copy all the way around, fellas. Everybody's, like I say, sounding great. Brian, I didn't go back on Saturday or Sunday either, so I don't know. Well, I did talk to Joe Coaster. He went Saturday and Sunday. He said Saturday was a good day, but Sunday, like the rest of them, not too much going on. And Joe Johnson, the fellow that sat up beside of me, he went back on Saturday, but I haven't talked to him. I didn't talk to him at the end of the day. So I guess Saturday would have been all right, but it was about 3-hour round trip for me from the Ponce Inlet, so I didn't attempt another day. I'm like you. I enjoyed Thursday, and Friday was a good day. I thought it was a little short on boat anchor type radios. I didn't see many LMAX. Didn't see a whole lot of Heathkit, DX100s, the usual stuff. I didn't see there. I did see some unusual stuff, but it was the Florida AM group had some tables set up and stuff was just for display. It wasn't for sale. And the guy had a Meteor transmitter. I never have seen one of those HF transmitter. And there was a few other unusual pieces they had there at their table, but not for sale. So all I ended up with was Brian's AR-77 I bought from him, and a Heathkit DX40 I traded my neighbor Joe Johnson out of, and a 500-watt RCA modulation transformer for Aspire to keep around. So that was the big items I got, and a few parts, but that's about it. John, I got your note about the 270 a little late, and like I say, I didn't go back on Saturday, but I didn't see the NC 270 there on Friday. So I guess if I'd had a phone number or something, I could have run it down for you. But like I say, I didn't see your note till it's too late. So I'll keep my eye out for another Cosmic Blue rig somewhere cheap and If I run across one, I'll let you know. I guess that was about it from here. So go ahead, John. W4JPL, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL in the group, W4JPL. Well, thanks anyway, Cliff. No big deal. I just happened to see a note on QTH that the guy was going to be down there with that receiver, and didn't know if it worked, blah, blah, blah. So, no big deal. I got plenty of toys here to play with, so I'm a fool for the cosmic blue receivers. What can I tell you? I'm working on I'm using a different antenna, so I hope everybody can hear me pretty much all right. I had to relocate my dipole, so it's about 20 feet lower than it was, and it's going to have to do for a few weeks till things change around here. So I guess back over to you, Steve, N4LQ in the group, W4JPL.
Okay, W4JPL, N4LQ. Do we have anybody else that would like to check in? Call now. All right. Didn't hear a thing. Let's see. Let me switch over in midstream to the other rig. This is rig number 2. And let me flip a switch here.
All right, here's the other rig. I guess we'll call this rig number 1. And yeah, it's more narrow. A Meteor, I had to look that up, and as soon as I saw the picture, I said, wait a minute, that's a WRL product. Sure enough, it is. WRL Meteor, W9RAN on his website as one that he restored. It's a double sideband thing, does AM and CW also, but it's screen modulated. Interesting rig. And yeah, Kurt, okay on the side-by-sides and the Enduro bike. I looked at it, I wasn't sure exactly what that was, and there's a brand, Enduro, and it's a bicycle, and there's also some motorcycles they're calling Enduro bikes. So sounds like a long trip on a pedal bike, but I don't know which one you're talking about. I know what a side-by-side is, and they can really get around. I tell you, I watched this guy. He's out in Utah on YouTube, and he runs a recovery service, and he goes out and rescues vehicles and people that have gotten off the road too far out in the wilderness. Man, oh man, what a mess! And he gets a lot of those side-by-sides, and they tip over sometimes and roll down the hill. And let's see. I don't think I have anything else pressing here, but let me switch back.
I'm back to rig number 2. So let me know what you think. KN4R, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, audio, the rig number 1, I think is more pleasing to listen to. Number 2, you've got mostly highs, but they're both just fine, and so very interesting. A couple other things. Mir, I meant to tell you, I heard after the fact that a fellow, a guy that turned out to be a mill surplus guy, he found a Russian BC-348 there somewhere, and also he got a Sun Air of some type. And I think I saw the Sun Air, but not the Russian BC-348. So anyway, that was kind of interesting. The other thing that was interesting there is that you could sip alcoholic beverages in the park. In fact, they had a beer and booze area, and I kept seeing people walking around with beers. And I finally asked somebody, I said, is it okay? And they said, oh yeah, here in the, just don't cause a problem. So that was sort of something different than the usual ham fest where they say no alcohol allowed. So anyway, it was a nice laid back time. Brown or someone told me that zinnia is, 3 or 4 times as big, so that would be a lot more fun. It didn't take too long to see everything, though I'm not sure. I saw 2 buildings worth. No, I saw 3 buildings worth of people and stuff. I hope that was all the buildings. I don't know. So anyway, back over to you, Tony. K4QE in the group, KN4R.
Okay, Brian. Yep. Xenia is one heck of a show. It's big, all right. I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to going out there again. Won't be this year, but it'll definitely be next year. And Kurt, you have what you described as your occupation sounds much like the same occupation a friend of mine up in New Jersey has. His call is K2WB, Kilo 2 Whiskey Bravo. And he's in the same type, I believe he's in the same type of business you are. He's an old friend of mine. He used to go down to the islands with us when we used to go contesting in Turks and Caicos. And I haven't seen him in a few years, but your description sounds much like what he does. So, Cliff, sounds like you had some fun. Like I said, looking forward to seeing some pics if you got them. John, I don't know what it is with you and those blue receivers, but they are pretty. I will admit they are pretty. But that's your obsession with them is funny. So, all right, over to you, Gary, K3OS from K4QE.
K4QE, K3OS, okay. Okay, on everything. Well, John, I've got a 270. And it's, except for a little hum, it's working just fine. I've realigned it, cleaned it up. Not quite ready to sell it, though, but I'll keep you in mind. Looks pretty, it does. Now, if I could find a matching speaker, that would be really great. Those are impossible. I might have to, that's one of those things that you almost have to build. Something like that. But, yeah, the 270, I have kind of destined to mate with the, once it's finished, the ICO 720, 730. I've been working on the 720. Steve, I started to mask off the chassis today and go see if that can of paint you gave me works, and to touch up the copper that's showing. And so over the next, since I'm still, kind of giving my wife a hand here, it's a good opportunity for me to get some of that grunt work done. So I cleaned the chassis off, scraped it a little bit where I was going to paint it, and just the front and the sides and stuff. Now I'm masking it off so that I can spray it. And that'll probably happen in the next couple of days, and I can work on the modulator, guys, and we'll see if we can get that up and running. Of course, the top cover of that thing leaves. I have not quite figured out, for those who haven't played with one of those things, it's got a top cover that fastens with a couple of threaded rod, basically, that goes down through the bottom chassis. I don't know what they were thinking of. I may just take those 2 long screws out and forget about them. I don't think they're really needed, but I had to fabricate an entire brand new bottom cover for it. Fortunately, I had a nice piece of aluminum. We cut it, got the holes all squared away, so that's all done. So I will spray that as well a little bit to keep the edges from showing. So that's on the project list. Guys, I'm going to listen around one round here, and then I'm going to get out and see if the XYL needs a little hand here. So it's been great talking to you guys, as always. In the evening, Bandit seems to be holding up. I thought we were supposed to have a big CME event, but apparently that either has happened or it's bypassed us. Let's see. Down to Mir, WF2U, K3OS.
Roger, K3OS. This is WF2U. Yeah, very good, Gary. And yeah, I can imagine that your X-File is not quite comfortable after what you described. And hopefully I should get rid of that thing pretty soon. Her discomfort. And Brian, thanks for the info. And I haven't had time to look at the photos that you just shared today. Later on tonight, after I'm out of the shack, I'll sit down with my dinner, which is quite late today, and look at it. And very good. I guess somebody did a good deal, which is probably interesting with the Russian US-9. That's the official nomenclature of their version of the BC-348. And obviously you don't know what kind of condition it is, whether it was modified or original. I have my sample is completely original with the original dynamotor in it, and since I got it without the mount, I used one of my extra BC-348 mounts with a connector and everything, and it fit perfectly. So that's what I'm using. And actually, one of my projects here is I know that the receiver is working great, and I have to make up a new cable for my R807, which is the Russian nomenclature for the ART-13 that they made, and I have the original Russian dynamotor for it, and all the US connectors fitted except for the one that goes on the power supply. For some reason, that the dimension of the inner shell is a little bit, maybe by 1/100th of an inch, just enough that I can push it in, is larger than their chassis connector on the dynamotor. So I have to do a little bit of shaving off the diameter of that inner shell, the metal part, which is a little difficult, but I'll be able to do that, and then I can run that whole setup right next to my US ART-13 and BC-348 setup. I had that setup. I think last time on the air on the old Transnet about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So it's time to get the cobwebs out of it again. What else? So I'm glad you enjoyed it, and it's interesting. I should really try to make it 1 year, just for the heck of it, if I didn't have so much to do at home. But maybe one of these days it will work out for me. So with that, it goes to Kurt. And Steve, number 2 sounded a little bit wide, a little bit wider than number 1. Number 1 sounded more like a military radio. It had a more restricted voice spectrum, but it was cutting the readability pretty nicely. I think under adverse conditions that would be preferable. And yeah, the Meteor is a very interesting radio. I had never looked at the schematics. I know how they do the double sideband no carrier, but I assume that they simply switch a beam from out of phase or in phase. I forgot how they do it. I think the out of phase cancels the carrier or something like that, and so obviously it should be not a too involved switching to switch it to full carrier. So Kurt, W89JQU, this is WF2U.
All right, WF2U, KB9JQU in the group here. That go around, there was a lot less QSB on all the signals for me, and that was very pleasant. Steve, I'm going to be honest. To my ear, rig number 1 is a more pleasant sound than rig number 2. But as Ryan said, both are neither one of them's offensive or anything. It's just the and maybe that's because I think I heard you first on rig 2 the last time I was able to check in here. And Tony, yeah, the New Jersey's a hot spot for supply chain, import, export. Definitely, many customers of mine are in New Jersey. Memphis is another one. Dallas is another one, and of course Los Angeles. And then Savannah, Georgia. A lot of activity there at that port too. So, but yeah, I love what I do. I don't even call it work. I always look forward to it, and if you can love what you do, it's a really good thing. I'm very blessed that way. So yeah, I do get to North Carolina a few times a year, but I try to stay in South Dakota as much as possible. But my company headquarters is based in North Carolina, and so at the end of the year, in the beginning of the year, it's just very conducive for me to be here and work. So. Well, with that, I think I've answered any questions here. I too need to probably pull the plug on things, but I'm going to listen at least another trip around the group. And I think that solar event is coming. I don't think it's been here yet. I just read an article on it about an hour ago or 2 hours ago, and it was spotted by the Mars rover, and it's some nice big ones. We might see a disruption, but I don't think it's a Carrington event or anything terrible like that. But there's definitely some activity going to be heading our way. But tonight, the band sounds great to me versus yesterday, and that's really nice to hear that. With that, let me see. I got to send it to WB4 and KL. Go ahead and pick it up. KB9JQU in the group.
KB9JQU, it's WB4NKL, and a good copy, and good to meet up with you here all the way from South Dakota. So good to have visitors. Most visitors don't have room for a 160-meter antenna when they stop by. So, but you're doing good with your signal. Steve, I didn't realize the Meteor was a WRL, and I looked that up on the internet there when you mentioned it and went to that website, and it don't say WRL on the front panel anywhere. They was wanting to hide that fact, I guess, but it's a double sideband. Don't look like there's any single sideband involved. It's double sideband or AM, I guess. So unusual rig. The National Blues. I don't have an NC270, but I've got an NC140 and an NC190, which are both general coverage, John. And I do have one matching speaker for one of them. So that might give you something else to look for, hunt you a general coverage, a blue one. But they are unusual. And I guess I'll say 73s with this one too, and been out here most of the day working around with some of this stuff that I picked up, and I've got an amplifier that a Collins 30L1 that my buddy Joe Coaster picked up down at the Hamfest, and I brought it home with me. He's wanting me to check it out and bring it back to him at Dalton, so I've got to take a look at that thing, see what's going on with it. So say 73s for now, and I'll try to catch everybody in the morning and make it back out here tomorrow night. So 73s for now. Go ahead, John. W4JPL, WB4NKL.
WB4NKL in a group. W4JPL here in Liberty, North Carolina. Well, I do have an NC270, and I love the thing. I do have a matching speaker for it. And when I bought it, they were both ugly and just dirty. Not really abused or anything. The chassis were clean. It's just they were just unloved on the outside. So I brought them home and cleaned them up and recapped them, and they play beautifully. I've got them hooked up to my Johnson 500, so it's a little odd having this great big transmitter with this reasonably small receiver, but it plays really well. And as far as the general coverage versions, I'm not interested. For some reason, I'm just not up on general coverage receivers for talking on AM. The only exception to that, of course, is the 390A I've got. So, but it's all good. I'm going to jump out of here, boys. It's getting close to pumpkin time for me. So I'm going to say 73, God bless. I hope you guys have a wonderful, great evening. And I'll be listening for a little while. Over to you, Steve. N4LQ in the group, W4JPL.
W4JPL, N4LQ. All right. Very good. I did switch microphones, so we'll see what this sounds like on transmitter number 2. It is an AF67, so all the mics sound different, and I'll go back and listen to the recording and see what it sounds like. I just wanted to get some idea of what was what. But anyway, appreciate the reports, and Gary, if you're listening, I'm glad that paint worked, and maybe you can spray a Drake 2B's chassis with it or something, see what happens. That copper chassis is interesting. This Lasco transmitter I've got, it's got a not real copper, it looks like copper paint for the chassis on it, both sides, but it's held up well. Okay, I think that's about it for the night, guys. Appreciate everybody coming in. It's been fun, informative, and entertaining. So we'll say our 73s and open the net up. If anybody wants to say 73s or good night, feel free to do so. And this will be N4LQ closing the net.
Good night, everyone. 73 from K4QE.
And KN4R.
Good night.
Everybody from KB9JQU, and hopefully we'll catch you again. 73 and bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. This is WF2U. 73 all.